Nowhere in the world can such polar opposites, sun and snow, deserts and forests, plains and mountains, be found within the borders of a country other than South Africa. In this speech, I will be informing you of South African culture, society, and a few other unique aspects the country holds. I visited South Africa for a few weeks and was blown away by the beautiful landscape and the depth of the wonderful culture. To begin, I will cover a few facets of South African culture, then I'll inform you of a few of the country's social aspects, and finish by telling about a controversial topic that occurred in South Africa just a few weeks ago. Now that I've covered the basic summary, let's move on to South African culture. South Africa has a distinct, bustling culture. According to the article South Africa, published on Culturegram's online edition in 2017, the country is internationally recognized for its production of platinum and gold and Kwaito, a type of African hip-hop, which is enjoyed across the continent. Unfortunately, some things are still viewed from an outdated perspective. For example, gender roles still exist in South Africa, or just ZA as it's known to locals. Many females are still expected to stay home and perform services such as cooking, cleaning, and looking after the children. Many different languages are spoken in South Africa. Zulu and Xhosa are the most prominent, along with Afrikaans, which is more common in urban areas. Recently, many white South Africans have been learning a native language in order to discover more about the indigenous culture. Geographically speaking, South Africa is a beautiful country. Cape Town, South Africa's second most populous city, is nestled amongst the hill country, framed by the landscape of the glorious Table Mountain. Away from the mountains, the land gives way to spacious savannas and deserts, and the climate is fairly mild with rather low humidity. Rhinos, elephants, and even lions are just a few of the native animals. South Africans have an affinity for flavorful food. Braai, their version of a barbecue, is a valued time for community bonding and is enjoyed by all. Street vendors can be easily found on the blocks of urban cities, and one can purchase inexpensive, delectable delights at these carts. 80% of the population practices Christianity, while others stick with indigenous beliefs. Now that we've discussed the idiosyncratic culture of South Africa, let's consider a few aspects of society. South African society differs greatly from the U.S. According to Culturegram's South Africa article, nonverbal communication plays quite a role in relations between South Africans. It is considered impolite to encroach upon someone's personal space, talk with your hands in your pockets, or point at somebody. To shake hands, pass an object, or receive something with the left hand is extremely rude, as the left hand is considered dirty or unclean. It is much more acceptable to receive something with cupped hands and to interact with the right. South Africans usually dwell with their extended families who, contrary to popular thought, take a lot of responsibility for the other members of the household. As stated in the South African page of Gert Hofstede, operated by the Gert Hofstede Center and ITIM International, last updated in 2017, they are a monochronistic and individualistic society and place a lot of value on the ability and time maintenance of each individual. South Africa is a fairly low power distance society, and people seem to commonly accept hierarchical order. I have shared the differing aspects of South Africa's society from ours, and will now consider a recent event that occurred just a few weeks ago. According to Simon Allison's article, Jacob Zuma narrowly survives no confidence vote in South African Parliament, which was published on The Guardian on August 9th, South Africans are dissatisfied with the rules of their president. Jacob Zuma, the current president of South Africa, has been causing controversy amongst his country for the past few months. South Africans see him as unfit to govern. They believe he is lavishly spending the government's money and, in a way, imprisoning people in poverty. Although the no-confidence motion was dismissed this time, the people of South Africa refused to stay quiet under his governorship, and when his term expires in 2019, they will certainly seize the chance to boot him out of their government forever. Now that I've informed you of a recent development in South African headlines, I may conclude. First, I presented a few unique facts about the culture and way of life in South Africa. Then I moved on to describe how their society compares to and differs from ours, and finished with an issue that's been headlining South African newspapers for a couple of weeks now. South Africa is a land of bustling culture, developing society, and ever-changing topography. It is a land that, once visited, will forever hold a piece of your heart. Even though it is still finding its political feet and exploring ways to better itself, South Africa is a budding and blissful environment whose arms will always be open to everyone.